Hey team, welcome to another episode of Two Friends Talking Shit about FPL. Oof, what a game week. There were goals. Goals aplenty. And, mate, I've got to say, Sam, congratulations. First one to crack 100.
Yeah, thanks, mate. No chips played. The triple captain stayed in the pocket. The captaincy didn't even go to Salah in the end. So, yeah, great game week for me. Managed to bob up another million places. Gained 20 points on most of the people in our little league into the top 10 for the first time. But mate, we have got a lot to talk about. So should we just get straight into the games and see what shook out?
Let's do it. Now, imagine if you did play the triple captainship. Huh? 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 Huh?
Yeah, look, let's right. Let's. Hey, we're talking about teams. Let's bob straight into teams and let's see how we did, and then we can have a look at the game weeks after. So, there you go, 105 points with a -4 to play. And mate, we're talking about what if we play the triple captain? What if Anamarim, whatever the United coach's name, knows about FPL and lets Mazraoui play 3 more minutes, and I would have got another 7 points from Mazraoui there, and then it's game week's a winner. You know, Isaac goes off. 20 minutes in, isn't really involved. João Pedro's not involved in the Brighton game. You know, those two get some points, and that's a great game week. But look, sitting there, 105, two transfers -4, so 101 for the game week. Sales with 6, Aina sitting there with 8, Gabriel with 9, scored a goal, came off at half time. Mazraoui 1 point, Saka 18. Salah 13, Johnson 10, Captain Palmer 28, Isak 1, João Pedro 2, and Chris Wood 9. And for me, it's a great week because I left 0 points on the bench. There was no one on the bench who scored more than my team, so all the right decisions were made. Bounced up a bit. Love it. Let's keep it going.
Amazing. Mate, Johnson just keeps ticking along.
Yeah. The plan was to move him on, but I'm not finding a reason to.
Yeah, like I'm literally thinking about bringing him in because I'm like, well, who else would I replace Mbeumo with? But yeah, hey, what was the issue with Isak?
He took a challenge really early in the game, and I think it was more. They're calling it a contact injury, so it's not a muscle injury. He just took a quite strong challenge into his hip area, and then for about 5-10 minutes after, he was limping and just wasn't able to get up to speed. So he made the call and pulled him off. You know, had it been a single game week kind of a week, I think he might have just kind of seen it out till half time. But given there's another game 3 days later, I think they just pulled him. And yeah, he might be ready, he might not be. He's flagged, but yeah, that's the reason he came off early. So hard to tell.
Like a knock?
Yeah,
Is that like what a knock is?
yeah, just a knock, and it was just around his hips. So I thought maybe there'd be a bit of bruising, and it looked quite uncomfortable. He was having difficulty moving around. So if you've got your number 9 struggling to move around the pitch, you just get him off because there's no point. And they had, I think they got Callum Wilson came on a bit later on, so they brought on someone different for the time being, but. At the same time, they had Joe Linton go down as well, so I think they were just kind of juggle a little bit. Joe Linton stayed on, but yeah, Isak just came off. I think we know how injury prone he is, and I think it might have been let's wrap him in cotton wool, let's put some ice on it, let's not cause any more grief, and just see what we can get out of him for the future game weeks.
They are playing Liverpool next, so I could imagine that they would want to, preserve some players for that.
Yeah, and you've got Wilson and Isak there. They're not the most hardy of players. They do get injured, so you kind of need one of them to play. So I think pulling him early is probably worthwhile. And I think it was a game they expected to win. Yeah, I don't think it was too much to hide. Just to take him off and make sure he was ready.
Isak is the definition of a glass cannon.
Yeah,
He's been injured so much this season. Him and João Pedro are both glass cannons. They score, but God, the wind blows the wrong way and they're injured.
yeah. He reminds me. He's a bit like a striking version of De Bruyne. When he's playing and he's on fire, he is hot. But then as soon as he's injured, he's out for a lengthy period of time.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, that would cause so much disruption to a team when you know your main striker, who can be so explosive, could be out bang just like that.
Yeah, and you add that to the style of the striker. Like you learn to play with a striker, and do they want balls over the top? Do they want balls to feet? Do they want through balls? And you learn how to play that, and then suddenly they're gone. Take Man United for example. Xerxes and Hoyland are very different strikers, and they're in and out of the team
Mm.
so much. You know, when Hoyland went out injured, that the knowledge that they had about that and the relationship they were building suddenly was all gone. And Xerxes coming into the different role, he's a different kind of player. They struggled to gain that traction again, and then it kind of takes you're back to the start of building those blocks.
Mm.
Richarlison last year, when Richarlison and Son are different players, they take different things. So yeah, it does really disrupt, especially when you only play one up top. If you're playing two up top and one is out injured, you still have a chemistry with that other one. But for the teams playing the single one up top, it does struggle when you lose them for a period of time.
Fair. What's your take on the Man United game? Did we get any more information? I mean, Rashford, number nine,
Yeah,
class
look,
as a midfielder.
it was again. I watched some of the extended highlights, and it was another kind of playing around with the team a little bit, kind of a game. And they did play kind of the wingers, and then instead of a flat three, it was Rashford up top, and then Xerxes and Ahmad in the attacking things. Personally, from the game, I'm not looking at Rashford. I'm looking at Ahmad. If he can play with as
Yeah.
much oomph as he did in that game, he single handedly was responsible for at least three of Man United's goals, pressing in the way that he did and winning the ball back off the last defender or the second to last defender and creating that chance. If he's got that energy, I think he's good and he's young as well, so he's gonna
And
have
his
that.
price,
Yeah, and he's gonna have that fire.
he is cheap.
So
He is really cheap.
and it just depends whether that he can keep doing that or whether it's going to be an interchange kind of thing. Whether you're going to get
Mm.
someone else playing in that role, but for the first time this season, they looked good and sustainably good. Like it was a good team performance, and they will really deserve the win. And there was not a lot in the highlights for Everton attacks, so you know.
Not that there would have been anyway. It is Everton.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say that. With Liverpool playing him next week, you know what happens when Liverpool play him when they're playing well. So yeah, I think definitely we're like the first one was a deflection and it goes in and it's more of an own goal than a goal. But you know, look, definitely signs of improvement. I think we just need to see it consistently. But like we said, their good run of form comes in a few weeks. If they can keep putting up good performances until then, and then you've got no, you know, they've got City and a few tricky fixtures, and then I think we could probably look at them as an option if they're keeping up. If they're still scoring against the big teams, why not?
Heck yeah. All right. I'll run through my team then. Uh, so this is my team for the week. Sam easily beat me this week. Uh, so I ended up with 82 points, did 3 transfers for a neg 4, but they did pay off, I'm quite sure. I brought in Haaland out, Jackson in, João Pedro in, but it's not like Raul Jimenez did anything anyway. And Saka in for... I don't even remember who I had there, to be honest. Saka in for who? Oh, Semenyo, who wasn't going to play. So easily was worth the neg 4. Many points. I think I ended up being, what, if Haaland got 2 points, 22 points ahead.
Yeah, sick.
Minus the neg 4, yeah. Easily. So, had Raya in goal with 2 points. Disappointed, didn't get the clean sheet. Vandenberg came on for Vardio. Vardio didn't play, which was surprising. 8 Nuri with 0 because they conceded. Aina with 8, so Aina just keeps delivering the goods. Palmer with 14, Mbeumo with 2, disappointing. Salah, I did end up captaining Salah. I was actually going to captain Palmer, but I missed the cutoff. But only 2 point difference, so I'm not too fussed there. And Saka with the 18 points. Man, Saka was the best captain for the week, wasn't he? João Pedro with 2, Jackson with 6, and Cunha with 2. And my bench was Rogers 2, Vardio 0, and Justin neg 1. So, 82 points. So lost the head-to-head and slipped from rank number 1 because in our mini league, someone got 101 points. There were a lot of big scores this week, which is cool.
Yeah, if you got the captain
But
right, you did well.
yeah, but I am now in the top 500k. I'm 450,000, ranked 453.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am quite happy with that. I've made it into the top 500k, and I'm going to keep trying to just claw my way
Yeah.
up higher and higher. Would love to finish the season top 300k, top 250k, maybe. I don't know. I'd like to, yeah, I would like to keep going, especially because I make so many transfers.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of just like taking all these negative hits and still ending up in like the top 500,000.
Yeah, and the margin for error is a lot smaller for you at being up there. Like when I was having a look at our teams this morning at the end of the game week, notice that your safety score, so for people who don't know, the safety score is a score you need to get to not lose any rank. So that's kind of like where the green arrow lies. So your safety score is like 73. My safety score is like 64. So because I'm at a lower level, I need to score less points to move up. Obviously, the more points you get, the higher up you move. So, but it's just that because as you get to the higher ranks, people are generally scoring a higher amount, and you need to keep up with the pace to be able to keep your score. So we both achieved it in spades this week, and yeah, slowly up. I think where did I move? I was thinking I was 3.5 million. I think when we talked last week, and I've kind of moved up to 2 million. So it's like
Hell yeah.
1.5 million spots in a game week, and I was like 200 and something thousand for the game week. So great week all round.
Amazing week, dude. That's such a good game week. All right. Well, what's the plan for this week?
All right. Well,
Not this week. I mean, this 2 days time.
Yeah. Well, was there any surprises from the games gone? Like, I'll just whip them on the screen. You can just tell me if there's anything that jumps out. For me, I thought the Liverpool City game was as we thought it was probably going to go. Especially with.
I'll be honest. I thought Man City were going to at least show some teeth. They are just bad at the moment. They are really bad.
Yeah, and very disjointed. I think that comes across when you see that Edison didn't play, and he played Ortega, and he didn't play Gvardiol at all. And I'd say, is that a sign of a manager panicking? But I think that's probably quite naive to say about Pep. I think it's probably Pep saying, if you're not up to scratch, you're not playing in my team. And this was a game that maybe they considered was gone. If they were struggling, and it was just a go out there and show me what you could do. And I think it was a struggle, and I think we thought it might be a struggle for City, but a very Arnie Slot Liverpool performance. 2 goals, just slow and steady. None of this trying to wham as many goals in as possible. And I think this is the way to play against City, is to try and control it, not like Jurgen always. Would go out and get as many goals as possible, and it'd be 4-3 or 4-1, but that did always leave us open to the quick Man City counter, and this week it was just shut down. So yeah, I think it's still, in my mind, it's still a wait and see, and it's a matter of time before City come back with something. I think investment is needed in City. Like, they've got an older midfield now, it is aging, and maybe that's what's lacking. Without the creativity of Rodri, maybe they'd just not be able to pick up the extra slack. But yeah, I think as we expected, and nothing really dramatic out of that.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool's looking amazing this season. Could you? I mean, is it too early to say? You guys may have it locked. You are very far ahead.
9 points.
And you've played. I mean, you drew with Arsenal. You've beat Man City. There's not much competition left. I mean, you've played top teams.
Yeah, we've beat City, we beat Chelsea, we beat United, drew against you. But we've got to do it again. Because if you lose those again, there's your gap gone.
So here's the thing, though. If Liverpool can be consistent, that's all they need to be. They can be consistent. They don't need to even chase. They just need to be consistent.
Yep.
It's yours. Like, literally, I feel like it's Liverpool's to lose right now.
Yeah,
because it's not like you're chasing Man City where you need to take risks. No one can catch up to you if you can just repeat what you've done, which is like grind out some wins, grind out some draws, right? and then just beat the teams that you should beat. It's going to be pretty hard for Man City or Arsenal to catch up.
And that's it. And there's still like, or I say that we've got to still play all those teams again. All those other teams have to play each other again still too. So, Arsenal still have to play Chelsea and United again. There's still hard games to come for everyone involved. And 9 points isn't surmountable. 9 points at Christmas is a bit more of a buffer. And I think that's a little bit more. But with the busy season to go, Liverpool are still they're top of the Champions League. They're still in the cups. There's still a lot of games to go, and there's still fatigue to be involved. So, teams like Chelsea, who are playing their two different teams, are going to have a leg up. Arsenal have been through a tricky patch, and you've dropped off 9 points in the games that they've gone. But who's to say that the same is going to happen?
Which we should have won, right? Like those are the games which Arsenal should win if they didn't go down to 10 men.
Yeah,
right. Like they were games which was like, come on, guys.
But down to 10 men, injuries in the midfield. All it takes is some injuries in the midfield for Liverpool to lose their momentum, and then once your momentum's gone, you've got to build it again. Look at Arsenal; you've taken 2 or 3 games to get that momentum going and to look good. And talking about Arsenal, this game you did look good. And then there was just 2 sublime goals from West Ham to knock the team sheet away. A quick break from Van Bissaka and a great strike from Emerson. So, but back to the Arsenal that I think we were seeing at the start of the year, and hopefully the clean sheets are going to follow.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Looking at the Liverpool fixtures in the past, you guys have only lost 1 game, 1 draw and 1 game, right? 1 draw, 1 loss. Loss was against Nottingham Forest.
Yep.
Which surprised everyone, and the draw was with Arsenal, which I don't think came as a surprise to anyone, right? So, like, good run, solid run for Liverpool. Look, in terms of other games which surprised me, honestly, I'm surprised that Mbeumo just isn't firing at the moment, and I don't know what's changed. It's not like the fixtures have become bad now. Leicester was a good fixture. There were goals in that game, but yeah, not sure what's going on with Mbeumo.
Yeah, I think it was just other people were operating as well. Like, he wasn't out of the game, he was in the game, but you see like Sade there with a hat-trick and Worcester on the score sheet as well. And I think maybe he's just now that Sade's kind of pushing into the team a little bit, maybe he's dropped back a bit into that producer role. There's no penalties in the game, so we don't see him on the score sheet. Tricky, but they do have hard fixtures coming up, so I think now is the time to move on from Mbeumo. Because if he's not producing and he's got tough fixtures.
The question for me is who? For who, though?
Yeah.
It's like, I've got Palmer, I've got Saka, I've got Salah. Son isn't producing for his price point. He's definitely not producing. Yeah. Johnson, like, do I move back to Johnson? Do I take a punt on Bruno Fernandes or Ahmad? Like, I think it's going to be quite difficult thinking about who to replace Mbeumo with.
Yeah. So I was a bit surprised with the Chelsea so dominant against Villa. I didn't expect them to be 3-0 and control the game. Enzo on the score sheet again, Palmer on the score sheet again, Jackson again. Like, gaining some speed, gaining some momentum at Chelsea.
Aston Villa is another team where they are surprising me for the wrong reason this season. Yeah.
And again, what changed?
Yeah. No, you're right. Well, all right. Well, let's have a look at how we're going to set up our teams then for the week. Are there any other games which...
No, I think, Forest grinding out a win was as predicted. I expected Brighton to beat Southampton, but, Spurs be Spursy with their 1-1 against Fulham. And I think it's just to point out that Kluivert got a hat-trick of penalties for Bournemouth. It's the first time that's ever happened in the Premier League. So that's a weird one for the record books.
If Semenyo was on, would he have taken the penalty?
I'm not sure. I would expect so, I think.
Then again, I shipped Semenyo for Saka, so I can't really complain, right? Yeah. Like, Saka delivered.
Yeah, that he did.
Yeah. All right, so I'll share my... Honestly, I have made no transfers, but Mbeumo's about to do his second drop. He might drop tomorrow, and if he's going to drop tomorrow, I lose 0.1. I don't like that idea. Their fixture is about to turn. So I would be looking to ship Mbeumo. The big question is for who, and I don't know. Honestly, I will be making a transfer. I just don't know for who.
Yeah.
I might go Nick 4. I might go Nick 4 and bring in Gabriel. But against Man United, I'm not, I'm here nor there about it. But who do who do I bring in for Mbeumo? You wouldn't be bringing Luis Diaz. He is going down in price also, so I wouldn't bring him in. Actually, I'll see if he's already dropped. If he's already dropped, maybe he's a punt. Madison, Johnson's been ticking along. Spurs also be Spursy, but he has been ticking along. His XG is decent. Maybe he's the one. Or do I go for the likes of a Bruno Fernandes or a Ahmad or a Rashford? I am tempted to invest in Man United's midfield. It's just that they play Arsenal this week.
Yeah.
Right, and Man City is highlighted red, but I don't know if it's the same Man City that's been showing up. It's not a scary fixture anymore.
Yeah, no, but it's still the Manchester derby, and I still think it's very unpredictable. It's like the Merseyside derby. You expect it to go one way, and then it's a battle as a hell. So I still expect a United team to show up, especially with Bruno still in there as captain. He doesn't want to lose to City, and I would still expect that to be a hard-fought one. And it's away.
Yeah.
It is hard, but would you want to play them at any other time? I don't think so.
No. So I will make one transfer tomorrow. I will make one transfer tomorrow. I just don't know. It will most likely be Mbeumo out. I just don't know who I'm bringing in. And right now it's a toss-up between Fernandes, Rashford, Ahmad.
Yeah.
Or Luis Diaz.
Yeah. All right, so this is my team. I've made one transfer. I have moved the injured Isak out, and I've brought Nicholas Jackson in. I think there's no two ways about it, really. I think that's...
Well, mate, if that's the case, I may as well bring in Johnson and we can have a mirror match again.
Yeah, well, I've got Gabriel still, so you'd have to bring him in as well. But
yeah.
So this is my
true.
team at the moment. My plan was to move Chris Wood out this week, but I'm tempted to leave him there because I feel like the bigger fire for me, obviously the backline this week isn't great, and I don't really have any players to play who are great, but I don't really want to move any of them long term. Aina's got City, which could be a good fixture, but it is at the Etihad. Gabriel at United could be good, could be bad. Aït-Nouri's playing away at Everton. Again, you'd expect something. But then Mazraoui at Arsenal and Hull at home to Liverpool, I'm not really expecting much. So I've got Fabianski in, playing Leicester. I think there's probably a better chance than Sells playing City, but who knows? But I'm feeling that the only kind of fire that I've got, or the person I need to move, is probably Rodgers. He's just not ticking along. He's not moving points, and I feel there's other options. So, options that I've considered are...
Ahmad. He is so cheap.
Ahmad.
Have I mentioned how cheap Ahmad is?
Ahmad going back to Semenyo because they still have good fixtures, and he's coming back into the team and he's had a week's rest. Bowen at West Ham just is just moving points along, ticking him. Matoma at Brighton, I'm also considering because they've got a good run of fixtures coming up. So there is options. Whether I'm happy with this team going out this week, knowing I've only got Rodgers really to come in, I think I'm happy with, and I probably will do it. I might end up -4ing and bringing Rodgers out for someone, and then it would probably be Chris Wood that drops to the bench. But then also, I might move Wood to Cunha again. Because I think he's a better longer term pick. With the fixtures, like the fixtures aren't, maybe get something at City, but United are looking better. Villa's going to be still tricky, and there's Brentford and then Spurs. So up until kind of, we get the new wild card in the first week of January. So that's only missing the Everton game where I could then bring him back, but they do then have Wolves and then Liverpool. So it is a trickier run. So obviously this isn't Cunha, but Cunha's fixtures are green up until United, and then they turn. So is it better going to a Wolves and then back?
But even when they turn, they're playing. Spurs can concede.
Yeah,
just not to Man City. They'll concede to everyone else.
Yeah. So look, it's I'm tempted to roll it and wait and see what comes out. Like, would dramatically underperform Cunha, considering there would be a -4 in there as well? I don't think so. Rodgers isn't playing, so then do I bring someone in for a -4 and then the player that I bring in has to beat them? So then, I'm not sure the -4 is going to be worthwhile this week, so I might set up like this and leave it be. But then I might make a rash decision before the deadline. But
I may -4 because it just doesn't feel like a game week if I don't -4.
I mean, that's fair enough. And like we said, it's about planning for the future. I just don't feel that a -4 this week is going to pay off maybe as much because I still have plans going forward. And the way my plans have been changing, if I make the two moves that I've talked about, I will be bringing back in 2 players that I only removed 2 weeks ago. So my plans are changing quite rapidly. So it then becomes an issue. And I also like Semenyo was a dead set that had great fixtures, but Bournemouth have been good, but they haven't been as good as I thought they were going to be. So am I cooled on them? I don't know. I don't know, Andy. And if I don't know and I'm this fussed, it might be best just to leave it be.
I actually have been looking at Mbeumo to Semenyo, and the same thought came up, which is like, I'm literally bringing Semenyo, and I just shipped him, but he wasn't playing last week, so for me, it was a right move.
Yeah.
It's just, it feels weird to go back to play. That's kind of why I don't have Johnson, and I haven't gotten Johnson back in because I had him not long ago, right? But keeping him was probably, I don't know if he was the better move, but keeping him would have helped. Yeah, it's who do I bring in for Mbeumo? That's the biggest question I have at the moment. Ahmad's already gone up 0.1.
Yeah.
Today.
And in all honesty, I would have moved Johnson had I not had other things come up. But I had injuries and then people had to leave, or suspensions and people had to leave. Like my plan was to move Johnson out a good few weeks ago, and I was gonna.
He's performed, you had benched him for a bunch of his performances.
Yeah, that's true. But he has just ticked along. And then another another little bit of me is like, we know that Man City are going to fire again at some point. It's only a matter of time. If I go and replace, I've got a couple million in the bank, but if I go and upgrade someone else, because at one point I had a draft where I had Isak and Jackson in the front line, with João Pedro. But that takes the money too far away that if I want to get back to Haaland. So at the moment, my plan would be to go from Palmer downgraded and then bring back Haaland for probably Jackson or whoever I've got in there now. So it is difficult, and you also normally we say you move on from a player. I think you still need to leave yourself a route back to Haaland, and whether that is moving Salah out, but would you do that at the moment, or if that's moving some other players around and getting some cheap subs in until wildcard. And I don't know.
But wildcard isn't that far away, so I'm not too worried about not having Haaland. I mean, he can start banging in, but if you look at Man City's last 4 games, Bournemouth, loss. Brighton, loss. Tottenham, loss. Liverpool, loss, right? They haven't been good.
No.
And do you see them just switching it around immediately, or are they going to need a bit of momentum before they get going again?
But and it's just an unknown, isn't it? You just don't know. But like the problem is, if you don't have a quick way to get back to Haaland, so between now and when you get the wild card, Forest at home, Palace away, United at home, Villa away, Everton at home, Leicester away. So there are good fixtures in there, and ones that we normally would expect Haaland to score in. So if he scores 2 in the next 2 games, and you go, I can wait till wildcard, and then he keeps banging in goals, and your strikers aren't keeping up, with the festive fixtures, and there being 6 fixtures, you're a long way behind the 8 ball. So it's worth bearing in mind.
It is. Look, I definitely hear you. the one thing I'm thinking about Haaland is this: for 15 mil, he can't just be banging in one goal. He needs to be bracing at a minimum, right? And if you look at, well, who would you sell to fund Haaland? Would it be Palmer? His fixtures. Let me just share my screen. Palmer's fixtures all the way through to game week 2022 are amazing. So sure, Haaland can bang, but Palmer's got amazing fixtures too, and there's opportunity cost of not having Palmer and having Haaland. Do you sell Saka? I mean, he's got pretty good fixtures all the way up to 21. Even Spurs, that's a decent fixture. You could imagine Saka returning in every single one of those. Is it Salah? Newcastle, Everton, for like decent fixtures still. And look at Salah's. He's had how many double-digit returns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double-digit returns in 13 game weeks. So yes, I agree with you. Have a route back to Haaland. But also, if it's coming at the cost of Palmer, Saka, and Salah, I would want to see a massive drop in form in those guys, where like they're blanking third game week in a row before I'm even considering moving them out, right? Because for Haaland to be brought in just for one goal is just not worth it. And I think that's something which is just sort of a switch has gone off in my mind, where it's like, oh man, he's blanked so much. You're needing braces from that price point. And I think you can get him back in 3 moves. Haaland is always 3 moves away.
Yeah.
2 midfields and one midfield and 1 defender, and then 1 forward. So it's always a -8 at worst.
Yeah, and he's not hard to get back. And I think we just need to bear in mind that it wasn't long ago that we were saying he's a must-have, and people were still buying him during the blanks. The problem for me with City is it isn't just a player going through a drought. It's not a Darwin situation from last year. It's the team doesn't look like it's working situation, which is worse in my view, because it's not. You see, Haaland goes away with his national team, and they score. And he scores great goals, and he comes back, and he is scoring in the Champions League, and he is still getting the good XG, but something must be wrong for that to be happening, and it's just hard to figure out what it is. I think I'm not saying we need to rush back, but I'm saying we just need to be mindful that if he's starting to put in hat tricks every week, you want to root back, but your midfielders do pick up more points for goals. They pick up more points for assists. So, they are a bit more productive in the terms of what they bring in. And it's just, well, 5 weeks ago, Haaland was a must-have. He was a must-have in the game, and now he's a differential. That's how fast things have changed for the robot.
Not only is it differential, he's a why would you bring him in at the moment type of differential.
Yeah, and why haven't you got rid of him already?
Which is crazy, because this is Erling Haaland we're talking about.
Yeah.
He scored like 2 hat-tricks in the opening few games. That is wild.
Do you remember there was a time when the best striker in the Premier League was Fernando Torres, and then he suddenly was gone. And that happened overnight. He was excellent. He got injured. He came back. He was good. He moved to Chelsea, and he was never the same. It happens.
We'll see. Best of luck this game week. I need to make a hard decision on who to bring in. I really don't know. I think it's just going to be a roll of the dice. This is the first time where I'm not clear on my transfer. I really have no idea. So. Yeah, we'll see. We may do another recording, because there's a midweek game. If we do another recording, then cool. We'll cover off on how we went. Otherwise, we'll catch everyone next week. Would I do another transfer between then? It'd probably be a defender transfer. I'll see how Vardio does. If Vardio can bang some goals in, great. I might keep him. But if he can't, it'll be Vardio to Gabriel pretty easily.
Yeah. And I am just, I think I'm the exact same team that I've got out will be the following week. So it'll be Fabianski at Wolves, Gabriel at Fulham, Aït-Nouri at West Ham, Hall at Brentford, Palmer at Tottenham, Salah at Everton. There's a lot of, my whole team is away for that week. Saka away at Fulham. I'd bring in Semenyo away for Ipswich. Pedro away at Leicester. Jackson away at Tottenham. And Wood away at United. So there'll be just one transfer there planned, but it might not happen. But depends on what happens this game week. Andy, Wednesday morning, 4:30, the deadline. Andy, Wednesday morning, 4:30 is the deadline. Andy,
I'll set the
Wednesday
team
morning,
tomorrow.
4:30 is the deadline.
I want to grab that sound bite, and that's going to be my alarm. No, I'll set the team tomorrow, and I'll just lock everything. I'll bust team it tomorrow,
Great.
just so I don't miss the deadline. Yeah.
Again,
yeah.
what did we talk about last week? We think the defining bit for December would be who misses the deadlines, and you've missed the deadline.
Oh my god! Yeah, look, I can see this happening throughout the next couple of weeks, but who knows? Sometimes it might actually end up productive.
Exactly. And I mean, your team's not bad. It's not like you're making differential calls
You never
every
know.
week and you're left. It's a good team.
Yeah, that's right. It's just the captaincy choice, I think, will make an impact.
But again, if you leave it on Palmer or Salah and don't do anything for 4 weeks, it's not going to be a wrong decision. It's going to be a decision that like 30% of the game went with. So, not losing out too much. You might just lose that little edge.
Yeah, awesome. All right, team. We'll chat soon.
Good to talk. We'll see you next week when I'll be 2 wins to the good.
Hopefully not.